All right, everybody. Happy Nathan MacKinnon is signed day. We thought it was going to be here. There were you heard things even coming out of Nathan MacKinnon's mouth saying this is close. And when you hear that, sometimes you think close could be next week, could be a couple weeks from now. Turned out to be about 48 hours, and a deal is done between him and the Colorado Avalanche. He is sticking around for 8 more years. It makes him the highest paid player in the league, beating Connor McDavid's 12.5. He gets 12.6. Oh, yes, at least for now. But we're going to get into all of that. And the Avalanche brought somebody in on a PTO. How much could that mean for this specific player, Alex Galchenyuk, going forward? A lot to get to today, including the Athletic came out with a list of players who they believe could have breakout seasons. 3 Avalanche players on that one. And that list that we did from the NHL, I think we did that show last week. Those players are not on this list. So we have 3 brand new players that the Athletic are talking about. But MacKinnon is the big story. Let's get to it.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
12.5, 12.6. What's it mean? It means he's the highest paid player in the league, at least for now. Thank you for joining the Locked On Avalanche podcast, everybody, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. And you can follow us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, opinions to lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on our YouTube channel over on the YouTube. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live. All right, sir. The big news, Nathan MacKinnon is hanging around for a little while. And 8 years, 12.6 per, over $100 million total. And in hockey, that's guaranteed money. I'll get into like the specifics of it. And it's a full no movement clause for the full 8 years. That's not surprising. It's a done deal. We all kind of figured this was going to happen. And, one of the best players in the league is going to be wearing the burgundy and blue into his late 30s, which is what we all wanted.
Yeah. This will take him till 35. And to put that in relation to Avalanche fans, that's about where Drew Doughty is. John Tavares, I think he's like 32, 33. And I think that's going to put him in that same department. So if we were all talking about when this deal was rumored, when he was saying, oh, this is close, this is going to happen, we were thinking this is going to be one of those deals that we're going to hold on to forever, and then it's going to age out. At 35, he's still going to be productive. Even if he's like half of what he produces, it's still going to be fine. You could work with that. And the money, it still works. Like, nothing about this deal is bad.
No, I think the only question or only concern I think a lot of people have are next year when it kicks in. It doesn't kick in this year. He's still on the last year of that deal where he's 6.3. Which, by the way, he just doubled his number, like exact. He went from 6.3 to 12.6. And next year, the cap is not going to go. I think it's only going to go up $1 million. So, and the Avs have some players that they need to sign, namely Byram and Alex Newhook. I do have their cap friendly up here. Those are the big names. But let's see. Comfer is an unrestricted. Evan Rodriguez, obviously. Cogliano. These are guys that are not going to command a lot of money. Eric Johnson he's an unrestricted. He's not going to make anywhere near the $6 million that he's making, but do they bring him back? So you don't, outside of Byram and Newhook, like those are the big names. They're not going to command massive dollars. We talked about this, a week or so ago about what we thought they were going to get. I think the Avalanche, they know that this isn't like a surprise. They're already thinking about that. They were thinking about that probably 2 years ago what's our situation going to look like if we sign MacKinnon to an exorbitant amount of money? Now, if you can get through next year and you still have a really good team, which they're going to, you have Nathan MacKinnon locked up, Mikko Rantanen, Cale Makar, Val Nichushkin, Gabe Lant, like you have a solid team locked up. It's just those fill-in pieces that are important. What are they going to do with that? That's all well and good. They're thinking about that. But the following year, after that, 2 years from now, cap is going up pretty substantially. And this number won't seem as bad in 2 years as it might next year. I still think it'll be okay next year, but in 2 years when that cap goes up, and then all the subsequent years after that, it keeps going up. This is going to be looked at again as a really good deal for Nathan MacKinnon.
And you got to also think about it this way. You mentioned Cogliano probably not coming back, probably going to retire after this year. Like you don't see
You never know.
much,
Yeah.
and probably the same with EJ, and that's a big Condor-like contract sitting on the books right now, and that's going to go away. And then this is also at the end of this upcoming season. By the way, preseason starts Sunday. Everybody, get ready. Real hockey-ish.
Right.
But you also got to think with the moves that the Avalanche also have made with Erod and Galchenyuk, which we'll talk about in a little bit. This solidifies the roster pretty much for this year. We don't know what Erod's going to do this season, and we're not tied to him next year. And what we did was we fixed the pieces on the roster, which we have talked about episode after episode. Who's going to take the 2C, the 3C, the 4C? We've got it figured out. The pieces are there. We just got to make it work. Next year is when we can start utilizing the Eagles with these contracts that are going out and this uncertainty. You have one more year to let the Eagles cook, knowing that they are coming in next year. Contracts are going out. We have to work with Nathan MacKinnon's brand new contract. Let the Eagles step up.
Yeah.
Approach this AHL season with that in mind. Keep an eye on the system. Keep an eye on your team. That is going to be the mindset going forward. We don't have to go out there and piece this team together. We have the pieces in Loveland.
Yeah. It's a good point. I mean, there is some risk involved with that because, however many prospects you're tapping to come on up and fill roles, it's unproven. So that's a discussion for next year, but it is something definitely to keep an eye on because once again, the Avalanche team kind of it looks a little bit different. I mean, when you lose guys like Burakovsky and Kadri and Kemper, like your team is going to look different. It's going to happen again next year because there's so many unrestricted free agents, and something like what you just said likely could happen. It's going to have a different look again, even though these guys are within the system. You know what I mean? It's just, these lines are going to look potentially different next year. Now, as far as the money goes and him being the highest paid player in the league, it's probably only going to last a year. I don't think he's so concerned with stuff like that. I think for now, maybe he's got some bragging rights for it. And then if, Matthews blows past it, because Matthews' contract is up after the salary cap is supposed to go up, Matthews might be looking at $14 million in that area. And MacKinnon can always, if he wants to, continue to brag about it, which I don't think it's that important to him, he can say, well, my number is based on the past, when nothing went up for a few years. Your number is based on, new money coming in and the salary cap going up. You always have that, in your back pocket. If you want to make that argument, then go ahead and make that argument. I don't think he cares about it. What he cared about was the term.
Yep.
He wanted 8 years, and if it came in at 12, if they could only negotiate to 12, I think he would have taken it. You know what I mean? I think the Avs did him a favor by at least anointing him. We want you to be known as the highest paid player, even if it's only going to be for a season. And maybe that's not important to either side, but I think in the end, doing that for him makes I don't know why I was going to say Alex Newhook, makes Nathan MacKinnon say like, okay, like we are on the same page. I want to be here. You want me to be here. You're throwing me that olive branch to give me the title at least for a year, but you gave me 8 years in the process, and that's what he wanted. And I do. I think if it was a little bit less, and that's the only thing, if the numbers for the Avalanche said we can't go high, like we want to go to 12.6, but we can only do 12.3.
Yeah.
He would have been like, fine.
Yeah.
I got the 8 years. I'm still in Colorado. Still a massive bump from what he's doing now, and still all sides would have been happy.
Yeah, I mean, if he really wanted to be the highest paid player, like I'm one of those weirdos that have to have the TV like end on a 5 or a 0. I can't have it like sit at
Okay.
27. So like
Yeah.
he could round that number up to like 13. Like why not 13 and a half? Make it a clean number. It's
Mhm.
just like 100,000 over Connor McDavid. If he wanted to be the richest player, he could ask for it and he could get it.
Right.
It's not that big of a deal. So it's just enough to say, hey, you won us the cup. Enjoy your year as the highest paid player, knowing that's not what we're here for. It's just a little something nice to have.
Right.
Um, he got his term. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to be in the Colorado Avalanche sweater, and he knows this till he's 35 when he knows that's about it. I can't contribute and like I can't feel good if I'm making 12.6 at 37 years old. I'm going to feel he's competitive. Like if you hear him on the 32 Thoughts podcast, he's already thinking about next season. He
Mhm.
said, "I won the cup and I thought it would feel a little bit better than this." He's not satisfied. He wants
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like he knows he's going to be pretty on the downturn of his productivity at 35. He could if he
You
wants to be
know,
37, 38, I don't think he would be there, and I think that would bother him.
I still think even when this contract is up and he's 35 years old, he's still gonna that next contract is still gonna be a nice contract for him.
Yeah,
It really will. Like
he can go back
where's
down to the 6.
I don't even think he'll go there.
Really?
Oh no. No, no, no.
Hmm,
This is gonna be one of the greatest players to ever wear Avalanche colors. One of the greatest players in the league. This is gonna be something like, Ovechkin's still making a pretty
true.
penny.
Very
You know what
true.
I mean?
And his buddy Sid.
Yeah. So no, this is his big contract. This is what you look forward to if you're a player. Your 27 and up contract. But no, by no means is this like it for him at 35. When he turns 35, he'll probably sign another 4 or 5 year deal. And I could easily see him making anywhere from 8 to 10 on that one.
Okay. I could
But
also
it could
see
be
that
more.
too.
Like I don't know where the league is going to be in 8 years.
It's
You know what I mean?
true.
This salary cap could keep going up and up and up. And 10 would be nothing at that point in time if we get we're already talking about his next contract, and I don't want to do that, but no, I still feel like he's going to be insanely productive even when he's 35 years old because
Yeah.
he's just built differently. The numbers for this, the 12.6 is the AAV. That's what the average annual value is. That's obviously what that stands for. Doesn't mean that's what he makes every year. The first 3 years, actually the first 2 years, he actually makes $16.5 million. And the interesting thing that it sticks out is his base salary for next year's season is $775,000. $15.725 million in signing bonuses for the first 2 years of that contract. And then it goes down to 16.05 million, and then 12.15, and then the last 4 years he makes $9.9 million.
Okay.
So those first 2 years where he's, the AAV to the team is 12.6. Nathan MacKinnon is pocketing over $16 million for the first 2 years of this. Pretty big deal for
And
him. That is a
I did
huge, we're saying he's going from 6.3 to 12.6. Oh no, he's going 6.3 to 16.5. He's going to be living the life. He's going to be loving that.
and I didn't bat an eye. He's justified in all that money and $16 million worth of chickpea pasta.
That's a lifetime supply right there, man. Yeah. I kind of, some people I read a lot of comments because I wanted to know what people were thinking of this. So I want people, I'm sure there's gonna be many comments, obviously, on a YouTube channel of this episode. I think people are kind of feeling like, yeah, he deserves it. I just don't want it to hurt the Avalanche going forward. I don't want them to not be able to sign this guy or that guy or how much is gonna, because I think what people are doing is looking at what's happening in Edmonton and feeling like the Avs are going to like duplicate that. And all I can say to that is what we always say on this show: trust in Joe, trust in Chris. They have this mapped out. And if for 1 year they have to kind of like suck it up and not have as good a team as they want, which I still think they know what they're doing, then they're going to be right back at it the following year when the cap goes up. So I wouldn't be as concerned I am as if you're looking at Edmonton, which I get. But Edmonton's got 2 guys that are very high, not just obviously McDavid. I'm going to bring up their cap friendly, but go ahead.
And what you have to think about, like everybody that's saying I don't want it to hurt the Avalanche. Everybody look down. I bet you're wearing a Stanley Cup champions T-shirt right now. You're wearing a Stanley Cup champion hat. You have a replica cup like I do.
Yeah.
Guess what? In 2017, if I told you $16 million to pay Nathan MacKinnon because he's going to get us a cup, nobody would care.
Yeah.
Because you are so hungry for a cup at that time. 21 years. We have a cup. And now we're worried about the future. We got what we wanted. We're doing it the right way. Trust in Joe. Trust in Chris. They know what they're doing. Let's not start micromanaging the team away from the guys who got us here. They know what they're doing.
Yeah. So I always lose sight of Draisaitl's contract. I always thought he's only 8.5. So I think that's why people are looking at it like you have. I think, but no, isn't Nurse is making more than him. Nurse is making 9.25. So you have Connor McDavid, who's 12.5.
Miko money.
Yeah. So I think people are trying to draw parallels between those two, and they just have concern. And what I would say to that is, what you just said, like, all right, we won the cup. There's so much more that goes into it than just your superstar making money. And if the Avs didn't prove that to you, I don't know what you were watching. Like there's depth that is there. There's defense that is there. Things that there's goaltending that is there. Things that the Oilers did not have.
Yep.
So you can craft a team when you're paying one of your stars a lot of money. I think the Avalanche are proving that. And like I said, if next year they can't go out and do everything that they want to do and sign everybody that they want to sign, they'll lock up Newhook. They'll lock up Byram. If I don't think they're going to be a crazy amount of money, but if they have to take a year where maybe they're not the number 1 team in the year, but they're still going to be a playoff team next year, let's get real about that. Maybe they're not going to be the cream of the crop, and maybe they are. We don't know, but let's just say that they're not because of his contract when it goes into play next year, and we just have to play a year where we are, fighting tooth and nail, and we're not just rising above everybody. That's okay, number 1, because that's good. That builds character for a team, and it'll be just 1 year because the salary cap is going up the following year. We got to suck it up for a year and just be one of the teams and still a playoff team. It's not what you want. You want to be that team that's like just blowing everybody out. But it's gonna be okay in the long run because all these guys are locked up. And when you have that group of guys locked up for a long period of time, you're okay.
Yep.
You're really okay. So congrats to Nate. Let's hear what people got to think about it in the comment section. Fire away, Avs faithful. I think most people are going to be happy about this, but yeah. All right. Let's hear from BetOnline. And then the Avs weren't done making moves. A PTO offer sent to Alex Galchenyuk. What do we think about that? But first, betonline.net, your number 1 source for all of your pro and college football betting needs and sports for this season. Find all the latest football league developments, game matchups, news, and podcasts, including this year's opening week's games for football, which were like 2 weeks ago. So no, like week 3 games. Forget about that.
Yeah.
And I know Bronco fans are kind of like, let's get going here, Broncos. I am right there with you. Like the frustration is real, but I mean, this is their preseason. I think weeks 1, 2, and 3 are their preseason. So maybe give it one more week, and then I think you're going to see some real Bronco play. So
let Russ cook.
Yeah,
let Russ cook.
BetOnline is also your continued source for all of your sporting wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and the actions. BetOnline.net. It's where the game starts. Yeah, a couple PTOs went out last year for the Avs. Obviously, the big one was Jack Johnson, and that started off very well. kind of leveled off as the season went on, but was still a one of those guys that a fun guy to root for. And one and done in Colorado, and he has moved on. But it was getting to the point where I didn't really think the Avs were going to throw out a PTO. But now that they have to Alex Galchenyuk, I think a lot of people, how we were just saying, and we always say, trust in Joe, trust in Chris. They've done this how many times over now, where they bring someone in, whether it's on a PTO or just they sign them for a minimum salary. Val Nichushkin, even not this isn't like Devon Taves is not in that realm, but nobody expected him to become what he's become. You get him, all these acquisitions, and then we just talked about Jack Johnson. They just seem to be able to take guys and kind of turn them around and at least get something out of them. And I think people are kind of hanging on that again for Alex Galchenyuk. So, one of those guys that very easily could slide into that 12th spot that we're talking about often now. You happy with this? You think this is where it's going, or is he going to have to, battle to get that spot?
Let him battle. He needs to battle. If you're getting healthy scratched in Arizona, if your name comes up every trade deadline as being a piece to move out, you need to improve, because like if Arizona is letting you go and you're a PTO out of Arizona, this is the end of the road. This is a very Val Nichushkin-esque kind of storyline. So it's really no harm, no foul to the Avs. It's nice of them that they're giving him a chance. If he could do something, that'd be great. I would like to see him flourish. I know he's got talent. I'd rather had Sonny Milano, but
Yeah, I know.
oh my word, I would have loved that. But I would like to see. Yeah, does he fit in this lineup? It's already stacked and starting to overflow. So, I mean, that just lights his fire a little bit. Maybe he can make a spot.
Yeah, this is not just going to get handed to him. I mean, you don't bring
No.
someone in a PTO and then just give him the the job. You would have just signed him if that's the case. But I mean, I'm he looked so promising
Yeah.
earlier, and I say early in his career, and it really wasn't that long ago, 5-6 years ago. When he was with Montreal, let me see. So in 14-15. 20 goals, 26 assists. And then he followed up in 15-16 with 30 goals and 26 assists. So he was a 30 goal scorer 7 years ago, and never has even touched 20 since then.
Yeah.
So, and actually, his past 1, 2, 3, 4 seasons, he's had single digit goals.
Yeah.
So the scoring has just disappeared from his game. This is a team where maybe they can bring that back out of him. You don't know. I think it's a risk. It's a calculated risk. And I think it's one, if they don't feel like he's going to rekindle some offensive prowess that he once had. I think they're just going to be okay. Like the original plan that we had of one of our youngsters taking the spot, we'll just give it to them.
Yep.
So
And I mean, me and you, we could put on skates and have a stick, and we could get an assist at least in 5 games on this team. I mean,
right.
it's not hard. If you want to score, this is the team to score. And if you're not showing that you can do it, we don't have loyalty to you. We really don't need you. We're giving
Mhm.
you a chance. Like, it's a turnkey operation. If you want to be a part, you got to do your part. So,
And a lot of people want to say like, oh, he played on Arizona. It's like, okay, well, there's got to be some people that stand out on Arizona, and he's a veteran at this stage in his
yeah,
game. And if he couldn't be that guy on Arizona, I don't really have faith that he's just going to miraculously turn it up. I think he'll be better. Like you're
yeah,
saying, like we could put on skates and be better on this team. So I think he'll be better, but he's not. He's kind of a liability defensively. But I don't know if that's just because, again, like if you're playing on Arizona and nobody else is playing defense, why should you?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the mentality he had. I don't know, but we've seen this story before, and we as Avalanche fans, we will always go back to Valnichuskin on this stuff. I'm not saying in a couple years the Avalanche are going to sign Galchenyuk to an 8-year contract. You know what I mean? Like that's not going to happen.
Save this episode.
Okay. Yeah. But could he be that guy that just fills in a fourth line? Sure, he could be, but I think it remains to be seen. I think he needs to do some work. And even last year, we were proven wrong with Jack Johnson.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was going to make team at all. I thought he was just too old. I thought he was too slow, and he is. But for some of what he could present to the Avs, it worked.
And I felt the same way about Darren Helm. Like when he came in, I was like, he's at the end. Like you're not going to get anything, and he's one of the highlight package moments of the playoffs. So
yeah, I mean, Helm's got speed, and when you have speed, like you're valuable somewhere.
Maybe it's the Red Wings stink that's still on him. I get it.
Yeah, right.
That's
Yeah,
what it is.
Probably. So, we'll see. But that's the two moves that the Avalanche made. Obviously, signing Nathan MacKinnon and bringing in a PTO with Alex Galchenyuk. So we'll just have to take a wait and see approach. I don't think anybody's expecting miracles. I don't think anybody ever does when a PTO comes in, but we shall see. All right. Finally, the Athletic came out with their own list of players who they think could have breakout seasons. And like we said, we did one, last week, I think it was, about the NHL Network came out with a list of their own. And on that one, it was Bo Byram and Alexander Georgiev.
Yeah.
Those two guys are nowhere on this list, but there are 3 Avalanche players that are. Excuse me. First one is Arturi Lehkonen. They put him on there, and I'm not going to go through everything that they say, but the gist of it is kind of what we're saying with Galchenyuk being on a better team. He might, produce something to a much bigger extent for Lehkonen. They're just saying that he is on. He's going to have more ice time on the Avalanche. More is expected of him with Kadri being gone. Not that he's going to fill Kadri's role, but he just needs to fill a bigger role in terms of production on the team. So they feel like this is the year to kind of watch Arturi Lehkonen, and I would definitely agree with that one. Would you not?
Oh, 1,000%, especially with how many people are falling in love with him in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Just thinking about a whole regular season with that. Oh, I think he's going to quickly become a lot of Avalanche fans' favorite player next year.
Yeah, you were seeing signs of what he could do come playoff time, and now that he's just been with the team, in the offseason and he's more familiar with the surroundings, I think, you're going to see a great season from Arturi Lehkonen. In their honorable mentions section, they have Alex Newhook in there. And this blurb is kind of short, so I will read that one. Kadri and Burakovsky's departure mean there's an additional middle 6 minutes to grab. Even after the Evan Rodriguez signing, Newhook could be a candidate to fill the 2C role or play a prominent third-line role. In any case, he's likely to assume a bigger role, one that he should be poised to take advantage of, giving his speed and skill. Kind of like sums up what we've been saying for most of the offseason with Alex Newhook. The skill is there. Is it just too early to kind of throw him into the 2C limelight and just go with the growing pains? I don't think so. But I do. Like, even if he doesn't get that role, he's still going to be a very big part of this team. And I wouldn't say breakout potential, but significant improvement in terms of numbers. Definitely.
Yeah. To all those on YouTube that say I hate Newhook, it's a lie. I loved him in his college game. I was championing his call up to the Avs roster like I am Sampo now. So I like Newhook, and I would like to see him step up. I would like to see what he could do in the new role.
They're attacking you on YouTube.
I'm telling you.
He likes Alex Newhook. I can vouch for him. I think he doesn't want to just, he wants to see it before he throws his weight behind him. I get it. But one guy that you have always thrown your support behind, and I saved this one for last, clearly.
I have my headphones all the way up.
They have Pavel Francouz on this list, not in the honorable mention section, in the meat of the article. Pavel, and they don't list these, they don't rank them like 1, 2, 3, 4. Although, I think Cole Caulfield was number 1. Let me see quick.
Makes sense.
The first one that they taught, I don't want to say number 1. The first one that they list is Cole Caulfield. The second one that they list is Arturi Lehkonen. But again, there's not like 1 or 2 next to them. So I don't know if they're, and I don't think they're alphabetical. No, because they have Stützle and then Francouz. So, but they have Francouz on here. And they don't really talk much about him like in a competition with Georgiev. I mean, they mentioned Georgiev, obviously, but they kind of throw out there like if he can stay healthy, he's shown he can perform. So why would the Avs not at least look into him as, and they're not even saying if Georgiev plays bad and Francouz stays healthy and plays good, do they kind of like ships passing in the night and Francouz becomes the number 1? They're just flat out saying if he stays healthy and plays well, it'd be beneficial for the Avs to maybe make him the number 1 starter.
I mean, I could have wrote that article. I have been saying this since Georgiev came in. Like, he has the talent. He had shutouts last year, and we've seen what he could do when he's healthy. Like everything is primed for this being Frankie's team, and I completely agree with what they're saying. As long as he stays healthy, game recognizes game, and he's going to take it over just by his skill alone. Like you talk about Georgiev and his inconsistencies, I feel like that is going to rear its ugly head, and you're going to drop one of those games that you shouldn't against Winnipeg or Seattle with him in goal, and you're like, that game we played with Frankie in net, it felt a lot better, and I feel like that's where the edge is going to start coming in.
Yeah, they even bring up Grubauer. Say it's also worth remembering then when Grubauer went from being a solid number 2 in Washington to becoming a Vezina finalist in 2020, 2021. The point is that Georgiev and Francouz have a soft landing spot. Nobody's mistaking Francouz for a clear-cut starter, but could he be a decent 1A in front of an elite team? I don't see why not if he stays healthy, especially since he overcame his playoff demons from last year. So, if nothing else, this just goes to what I've been saying. Like, we just don't know for the Avalanche and goal. And that is what it is. And how people are kind of like going after you for being like anti Newhook. There's some people that maybe want to come after me for being like anti Georgiev, and that is just not true.
That's true.
I want the guy to do good. I am going to pull for him as much as I pull for any player on the Avalanche. But how you're kind of there, like a wait and see approach with Newhook, or I need to see more from Newhook, is totally where I'm at with Georgiev. Has he been given the games and the time to do it? He hasn't. So that's not fair to him. So I will allow that to happen. But we know what we have in Francouz, but is that just a backup role? I don't know. Can he take on a bigger role if need be? He's done it sometimes in the past. Not, we need you for the rest of the season. He was heading that way, but COVID shut the season down because we knew Grubauer was going to be out for at least until the playoffs that year. So it's just, again, like we're just talking about the goalie situation for the Avs as a big unknown. So could Francouz take it over by the end of the year? Sure, that could happen. Anything could happen right now for the Avalanche and goal. And that's just the fact. That's just where we're at. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Frankie's body's the only thing that's hindering him from taking that spot.
Yeah. So, all right, everybody. That is going to wrap it up for today. We were going to do the crossover with Seth from Locked On Wild, but when all this stuff happened with the Avalanche, we postponed that a day. So we should be doing the Locked On crossover with Seth from Locked On Minnesota Wild tomorrow. Until then, what a day. We got him locked up, and I think everybody's breathing a sigh of relief. It didn't bleed into the season and bleed into next year where everybody's like holding their breath day in and day out. Is he going to leave? Is he going to get a huge number from someone else? Not happening. Nathan MacKinnon hanging around for 9 more years, including this year. So
true. Yeah.
Plus. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. That is always appreciated. As always, he is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We'll see you guys tomorrow.